So this time of year in Papua New Guinea, the clouds build to the heavens so fast. I'm expecting a little bit of weather getting into Goroka. Through the mountains, it should be a nice flight getting all the way up there, but once we get to the mountains, the last mountain range getting in there, let me show you. Well, it's 12:45 in the afternoon right now. We're starting Madang. We've got a lot of this yellow and green kind of right on our direct track up here to Goroka, and we've got a big green and a bunch of little like light gray lightning strikes along the way. So what that means to me is that there's going to be a lot of cumulus clouds. There's going to be potential rain, so we're going to have to figure out the best way to work our way through the mountains to be able to get to my destination. So let's get started, get out of here, because it is very warm. All right, make sure all of our levers are all the way back. Low start. Once our oil pressure comes in over at least the red mark, or at least to the bottom of it, let's introduce our fuel. Engine's coming up at a normal, nice rate. Same with ICT. And yet another normal start. Generator on. Prop forward. This flight here, we're starting off with 720 pounds. I've got 7 seats on board back there. Only 5 installed, but I got 2 in the hat rack, so I'm just leaving it because I'm pretty much empty. And then I believe I have 85 kgs underneath in the second pod. So we're easily well within the envelope. This is my last flight if you're wondering why am I going back to Goroka empty. I've already done about 3.5 hours of flying today. This is the last leg home for today. What we need to put in here is our empty weight is 4450, which is 4450 on here as well. Our crew, 210 with me and my bags. Our fuel, 720. We've got 730 in here, so let's change that to 720. And our cargo, or payload, is 190. So 5570, 5567, so we're within 10. 55 for rotate. We'll go all the way up to, I think, 10,000 is what I filed for. We'll see how that works. 1 POB, go ahead and send that. Madang Tower, November Tango Kilo, request taxi Goroka, 1 POB, information whiskey.
November Tango Kilo, taxi for runway 07 and the backtrack and lineup.
Clear, backtrack and lineup 07, November Tango Kilo. So you guys can listen to it.
07, wind 050 degrees, 10 knots, maximum 12 knots. Visibility 10 kilometers or more. Cloud scattered 3,000 feet. Scattered 5,000 feet. Temperature 30. Dew point 25. QLH 1009er. Build-ups in area. Caution, bird strike hazard exists. Acknowledge information X-ray.
Well, I can see what the weather is here, and it's obviously beautiful. November Tango Kilo ready for departure.
November Tango Kilo, course and best strike is access runway 07, make right turn clear for takeoff.
07 right turn, clear for takeoff, November Tango Kilo. Alright, ignition condition, flaps 20, fuel and harnesses are good. Checklist is complete. 35 at sea level, so 1520 on the torque. Let's go. Alright, torque is set. And there we are, airborne already, wow. ITT on up to 740. You can see, I guess you don't have the camera on here right now, but if I'm climbing out at 73 knots, that's my best angle of climb. I'm climbing at like 1,700 feet per minute right now. 8 knots on the nose, and I'm not even at my 73 knots. I'm at like 78 knots. Pretty impressive airplane at sea level. It is everywhere else, but very impressive at sea level. There's the end of the runway, and there's 1,000 foot. And these islands are awesome, aren't they? There's like a sunken barge or something like right there. A couple, actually 3 of them right there in the little bay area. All right, there's 1,500 feet. Let's get our nose over.
over 85 knots, or 80 knots, we'll go 10 degrees of flaps. Still got a lot of right rudder pressure, but I'm slowly letting that out as my speeds are increasing up. There's over 90. Now I've got barely any right rudder pressure. I've got to get a back pressure in and bring our prop on back to 2,000 RPM slowly, so I don't spike my torque here at sea level. There you go. Now you guys can see my track. I'm heading up here to the Bennett Gap. That's going to be my best option for getting through the mountains, because anytime there's a gap or a low spot in the mountains, there's a low spot in the clouds as well, which makes your life a lot easier to know where to start tracking towards to be able to get through these mountains, especially in the afternoon this time of year, starting to get into rainy season. When there is just a wall of clouds in front of you, you know if you head towards that area, you'll probably find a way to get through. Medang Tower, November Tango, Kilo departed time, I'm at 5 tracking 199er on climb 10,000, estimating Goroka, time 20.
Number thank you, Kilo Roger, 25 miles per hour, contact Mosby, VHF 120.1, HF 6598.
120-1659825, November Tango Kilo. Now they're past the 3500, landing light off. Engine inlet back to normal, igniter's turned off. Reset our ITT here to 720 for our best climb. Just a hair of a touch to bring it down to 720. Here's where I'm going. I just left Medang. I'm heading up here to the Bennett Gap and then on to Goroka. So we've got a bunch of high mountains all through here, usually around 9,000, well, usually around 9,000 feet is where the gaps are, and then a bunch of high mountains here that are all about 10,000, and then right here at the Bennett Gap is 11,000. But through the Bennett Gap, we go all the way down to 7,000 feet, maybe even a little bit lower.
On the shallow left base, 43, correction 07.
Mike Echo Whiskey, continue approach.
Continue approach, Mike Echo Whiskey.
The Bennett Gap is going to be my best option. Now, when we were looking at the weather just a minute ago, that's where all the rain was showing it's going to be, is at the Bennett Gap. Not the north gaps, not where all this 9 is, and not where the 10 is, right where the 7 is. So I'm still going to track there, because looking at the Windy app, it was showing between 12 and 1 is when it was all going to be building. So I might get lucky and actually find some little tiny holes through all the clouds to get me through. Now I can always just do like an IFR route, but I have to go up to 14,000 feet, and my airport's at 5,000 feet, so then I have to lose 9,000 feet like that. So not really worth it to me. We're going to try to find an easy path through the mountains that we can take. The chimes let me know I've got 200 feet to go, and as just we're looking forward here, it just looks like a wall of clouds. Like when I first started flying here many years ago, I would see these big walls of clouds and just be like, dude, they're impassable. Like there is no way I'm getting through that, because that's what it looks like. It just looks like there's no way you can get through it, and the clouds are probably going up to 15,000 feet today. But I've been flying here, I think, for like 6.5 years now, and 99% of the time, there is a way to get through these clouds. And I'm going to show you today, I'm going to do my best to see if I can find a way through these clouds without having to go all the way up to 14,000 feet. There's 10,000 feet. Let's go ahead and pull our torque on back to 1250 for our cruise. Pull it to 1270 and let it sit there for a second, and it slowly works its way to 1250. Now we'll get a little bit of right rudder pressure out that we had in our climb. Quickly do a scan for our T's and P's. Our prop is right at 2,000 where we wanted it. Everything else is set up. We're kind of approaching this 25 mile ring where we switch over to Moresby, which is like flight service station. Now we're coming up to our first obstacle. That's the way I now look at clouds. It's just an obstacle that you could probably find a way to get around. Worst case, you can go through. But we have a high spot right here in front of me, and then we have a lower spot, or a lower high spot over there, and we've got a low spot there. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm looking at the clouds behind the clouds to see if that is a channel that I can actually go through. Like over here, it looks like there's a big open gap between the next set of clouds, which means it's going to be wide open. On this side, I don't really think it is. but it looks like to me like there's two clouds and they're set like this. So I can try to go around this first one and see if I can squeeze in the second one. So we're gonna hit heading bug, manually turn over. So I'm just gonna come over here. Once I get into the big green area, it's just gonna open up wide open because it's a big, huge valley. My thinking is we're gonna go around this first one, and right underneath, I'm seeing some like kind of darkness in the clouds. It's kind of hard to describe when you don't see it here. But what that looks like to me is that I'm seeing all the way through, and maybe some mountains on the other side or something like that on the other side of the valley. And that's why I'm seeing dark. So that shows me that there might be a little hole right through the clouds. So that's what we're gonna see. Worst case, I can go right through the clouds at this altitude, no problems whatsoever. All right, now that I'm getting closer, it looks like the clouds are just kind of building as I'm coming up. I think I'm just gonna go a tiny bit further off to the right because it's building quicker than I'm flying. Once I get past this cloud, it's gonna open wide open because this big, huge green area right here. And then I'm gonna work my way back over here to the Bennett Gap, get a good look at it to see if there's a lot of rain in there. If there is, maybe it's not the best option. Maybe I need to head towards the North Gaps. I could always text the people on the ground in Goroka and ask them, hey, what's the weather doing? That just makes it easy. So we're gonna just try this by ourselves today. When there's a ton of clouds like this, I'll throw on my terrain, and then you can see real quick, yellow is basically 100 foot to 1,000 foot. Red is 100 foot down to dead. So red, you're dead. Yellow, you'll probably be all right. So I'm looking at this map here, and then I bring my eyes up and out to see, okay, it's about that many degrees over for the gap. Because right now all I'm seeing is just a huge wall of clouds ahead of me. Does not look like at this altitude I would be able to get through. So I know the altitude to get through the gap, I think it's like the lowest is like 6,800 or 6,500 feet. Let's just drop on down to 7,000 and see if this is gonna work. If it's not, at that point, now I'm at 7,000. If I have to do my IFR basically through the clouds to get into the valley, that means I have to climb from 7,000 all the way up to 14,000, which is not what I want to do. But let's give it a go. Down to 7,000. We're looking for Mount Hellwig, which is this little dark spot. So I'm kind of looking to see where the mountains are kind of going up. It looks like it's right there. And I just want to go off to the right of it. I'm going to drop on down quickly to 7,000. And if I'm at 7,000 and I don't see any holes along the gaps of the mountain, well then it's going to be a lot more difficult getting in through there. And I'm probably going to have to maybe work my way down the mountain range until I find another gap to get in. But the next one is going to be the dirty water, about 8 or 10 miles more down towards the east. There's 8,000. We've got 3 minutes and 30 seconds to go until we get to the Bennett Gap.
November Tango Kilo, no reported traffic, 15 miles, Goroka, contact Goroka Tower on 8.7.
Traffic, contact Tower 15 November Tango Kilo. Okay, I'm 10 miles to the gap. I still don't see a hole yet. I'm still thinking there might be one though. I'm hoping that there's going to be. I'm at 7,500. I still don't see one. There's Mount Hellwig. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get close to this mountain over here so that I can do a 180 out of this valley if need be. Coming out this way, I'm kind of looking at the winds. They're maybe 4 knots coming from this direction. I want the gaps to be on my left side so that I have the best opportunity to be looking out along the way rather than over here because I have all this in my way, so I'm not going to be able to see out that way as easy. And as I get close to the gap, I'm actually going to slow down if I don't have a really clear way to get through. I'm going to slow down, get some flaps in, what we would call like an 80-20, so 20 degrees of flaps and 80 knots to give yourself more time and space to be thinking, be able to work the weather, and then move on from there if it's not working. Okay, so I can see a bright area of clouds kind of through, which looks like to me is that there's clouds further on out, so there might be a hole right after this cloud. There's autopilot off. If I get past this cloud and I don't see a clear way, I'm gonna go ahead and slow on down. I would not say it's a clear way. So what we're gonna do, we're at 7,000. We're gonna go ahead and pull the power on back. Push our prop forward. 10 degrees of flaps. It's not looking awesome, but I'm gonna stick my nose up as close as I can safely to see if there's a hole, because it's sometimes you get all the way to it and then you're like, oh, there's a way I can get through. Go 20 degrees of flaps. We're at 103 knots right now. You can see it's a pretty small little area through here. If this doesn't work, I'm just going to immediately turn back around, head down to the east a little bit, down towards the dirty water gap. Honestly, not looking that awesome right now. I don't want to get myself too far in here. I want to get as far over here as I can so I can do a 180 out of here if I have to, which looks like I might have to. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. I don't want to get down below because, I mean, I think 6,500 is like scraping trees to get through, so I'm not seeing any definite holes. Make sure my escape route is good. All right, let's go ahead and turn. I am not seeing a path down through the valley like I was kind of hoping. There you go, that's why it's only 99% of the time that it works. There's my 1%. Okay, yep, I still don't see a place. All right, let's get out of here. There's 10 degrees of flaps. Let's bring our power back up to 1250. Let's go 0 degrees and bring our pop back to 2,000 RPM. On to the next. Oh, it probably would be easier just to go up to 14,000 feet, but if you fly every day for your job and you just do the easiest, most boring thing, your job kind of gets a little boring.
Caution, terrain.
Thank you.
Caution, terrain.
So by doing things safely like this, but still making it more of a challenge for yourself, it does keep flying fresh. So it's not just at point A to point B every day, the exact same route from Madang to Goroka. Like, you actually still have to make decisions along the way, which makes flying way more fun than just pushing buttons and having it do everything for you and ATC make all the decisions for you. Orsby 65908, November Tango Kilo.
November Tango Kilo, most good.
November Tango Kilo will be tracking up to 15 miles left of track to the dirty water gap, just due weather. And revised estimate to Goroka, time 30.
November Tango Kilo, copied 15 miles left for dirty water gap, no reported traffic.
November Kilo. I just had to let him know that my revised estimate down into Goroka is going to be different now, so that they're not wondering where I am, because I said I was going to be there at this specific time. Okay, dirty water. If we slide our cursor right over to here, you can see it's around 7,000 feet. I'm below that right now. I'm at 5,800 feet. We're going to work our way up there first and just take a look at it to see. If it doesn't work, then my option is just to go up to 14,000 as quick as I can. I'm light, so I can get up there pretty quick. It'd be nice if I could just find my way through here and be on my way to Goroka. I think that is my gap right there. I'm seeing rain, obviously, in the gap. I can't tell if I can see the ridge line or not, but that looks like, right where I'm looking at my screen, that looks like the same direction as where my gap is supposed to be. That means there's a really high chance I'm going to have to go up to 14 and just push my way through the clouds and then just make a quick descent on the other side. And looking up there in the clouds, looks nice and blue up there, so. All right, this is the dirty water, and there's even more rain than the Bennett Gap. I see sunlight just on the other side of this cloud, so I'm going to go past this, take a last minute look to see if it's going to work. If it's not, immediately I'm doing a 180, climbing up to 14,000 feet, kind of heading out towards the middle of the valley, like this big huge green area, because it's all the way down to almost sea level. I can just make a climb as quick as I can out there. Yeah, I'm not seeing it anywhere. My gap should be right there, right through that there, but I'm not sticking my nose up to that. No way.
Must be Alpha Number Hotel. Maintain
Okay.
flight level 280.
Not seeing anything. I'm going up. Go ahead and power on up. I think my minimum safe is only 12.8 for this section, so rather than going all the way back there where there's higher terrain, I'll bring out my chart here in just a second. But let's go ahead and get up to 720 for the climb. So we're just going to track to that track right there at 12.8. If we break out or find a way before we get to that, great. If not, then we'll just connect to 12.8 and then head straight into Goroka at 12.8. So let's change this up to 12,800. All right, now we have an actual track that we're going to be tracking to. Once we get on that and we're at 12.8, then we know that we can get in there safely. And looking out there, I see one ridge, but I don't see a clear path. Kind of, but not good enough for me to stick my nose and commit myself to go through those mountains. So kind of looking all along the way, just in case I see like an open hole that I can just immediately go for. Doesn't look like it, so let's do a 270 here, connected to our track, that way we know we're safe on an actual established route. There's two fails. So this one's gonna work. Probably would have been easier up to go 14,000, but most of the time, again, 99% of the time, it works all the time. Sometimes if you get really close to these edge of the clouds, you can actually get a lot of updrafts, which help your climb. I'm at 1250 right now, going through 11,000, so use the updrafts for your benefit. Now 1,300 feet per minute, so we're getting there. I'll get all the way up to 12.8 and it'll be like wide open. What did I just tell you? Wide open. All right, we're at 12.3 and it's now wide open. Right on back down. That's just the way it is. There's 3 fails today. Oh well. Getting there safely, I guess that's all that matters. 8 minutes to run. Get our selectors are both on. Our TAWs we can go ahead and enable now. Our VREF, our weight, 5,300 pounds, so 63 knots coming in at the slowest. Lights and inlets are done. If we have to go around, power up, 20 degrees of flaps, pitch for 12 degrees, and reset our
Mosby Kilo,
ITT.
Cheryl Lima 120.1.
Crook Tower, November Tango Kilo.
November Tango Kilo, Krakatawa.
Copy noon, November Tango Kilo, 20 miles to the east, 10,500 on descent. Your circuit now revised 33.
Okay, November Tango Kilo, runway 35 right, QNH 1017. Wind still southeasterly 5 knots. Visibility okay in haze. Clouds get at 6,000, broken to the east. This stage will be number 1 ahead of Alpha Number Foxtrot Fokker inbound via Ombog, condition from level 320, estimating the field 34.
Copy Alpha, November Foxtrot, November Tango Kilo, I'll keep my speed up.
And November Tango Kilo, full again right base, 35 right.
Logan right base, 35 right, November Tango Kilo. Okay, so. There's the Bennett Gap, looking out that way, yeah, the clouds go all the way to the ground. I don't see anything. I see some stuff up high, probably around 12 to 13,000, but nothing at the altitude I was at. And tower November 9 Kilo, right base, 35 right.
November Tango Kilo, runway 35 right, clear to land.
Clear to land 35 right, November 9 Kilo. Just go ahead and dist the prop a little bit, that helps slow me down. Below 120, we go 20 degrees of flaps, turning final. 108 full flaps, checklist is complete. There we go, now the brakes are coming in. Bring my power on back in. 63 knots at the slowest. Shoot to touchdown around the 500-foot marker. So I don't have to use my brakes before I get to my taxi. Turn off. 6 knot tailwind. 4 knot crosswind. There you go. Lots of work to get in here, but that's what makes it fun when you make yourself a challenge like that. So still stay safe. Keep your job interesting. Give this video a thumbs up. Share it with your friends that you think that might like this kind of content.
Just confirm you're on a wide left downwind for...
And welcome here to Goroka.
Wide left downwind for Sierra Delta Alpha. And we got you in sight, and we're well clear. Roger. 6,400, looking. Alpha number, Foxtrot.